All right, so one of the trades I took today was going to be TBLT. Really nice 5-minute flag off of this pivot over here. Got long on this one, 277. Risk was off the 273 area. We ended up coming into the pivot after failing a breakout on this candle. And that's when I kind of changed my mindset. I was like, all right, you know what? I'll risk off of 270 here, a couple more cents. It is what it is. So I was long 277, risk off 270. Buyers immediately come in, really nice VPA on this flag, nice push up, low VPA pullback. Buyers come in and send us through this 285 high. That's where I took a piece of profit off. Always good to take some off into high a day just in case you do get rejected. Then we get this, nice extension into 290s over here. Start peeling some off into 290s, kind of having another flag set up over here. You can see the VPA, nice high volume push, low VPA pullback, kind of consolidation on the 5. Then we get this pop into 3s. Take my last piece off at 301. Just because my focus was shifting from small caps to large caps at the time. When I was actually getting out of this, I started shifting my focus onto Meta and SPY. I felt like there was more opportunity there. So that's what I did, and that's why I exited my last piece. We did, end up consolidating here really nicely over these highs right here of $3, held the, psych level and continued higher at $4. One of the reasons I was watching the 285 level, we kind of had that 280 pivot right over here. Then, we had the 292 area pivot, 290 pivot, kind of double topped previously. And then we had a push into 3s right here. And then that's when everyone in the Goblin gang was like, all right, let's see if we could get 3s. And, over 3s, you could see you could start extending into, 310s, 340s, 378, 379, sorry. And then, higher into this kind of previously filled gap. And that's exactly what it did. I wasn't there for it. Caught a nice move out of it on some size. So, pretty happy about that. Next trade on the day for me was FRGT. FRGT was the first trade for me actually of the day, and it was right into the open. You could see we broke this down trend line over here. Nice high volume push. Have this 1 minute flag set up right over here over the pre-market resistance, which is this area over here. Clear risk. Risk was obviously off, the 47, 48 area. And I get long on this pullback into, I believe it was 51. Yeah, so get filled down in there. As we start rising, we get this parabolic pop into 55, start peeling some off 53, 54. And then, I was kind of looking for a pullback into the pivot, kind of another flag to, kind of size more into it and see if we get that real breakout. But this thing kind of just went straight up, so I didn't get the chance to do that. Started peeling more off into here, 58, 59, 57.5. And then my last piece, I kind of started holding here. I was looking for that, last extension. We ended up sort of forming a, we ended up starting to form a like 3 minute flag setup. Really high volume push, stair step higher, exactly what you want to see. Nice low VPA pullback into a pivot. This pivot is going to be this pivot right over here off of this high. You can see we held it as support. But we started forming that 3 minute flag, and that's where I was like, all right, let's see if we can consolidate here. Didn't add any more up here. I was way past my risk limit. Took majority off the table already. So I was on my last piece, and I was kind of like, let's just see what happens. Let's see if we can continue higher. And looking at the daily, we did have some range. I could see, we had some pops in the past to like 64s, and then, over 64s, we can really start to open up, and, possibly even test the 70 area. A lot of volume on the day too. So like everything was starting to check off. We had over a million of volume in the morning. So like everything was kind of checking off on the checklist. And then the seller comes in, and right when we break this 55 area, I exit my remaining piece at 54. Couple minutes later, one of my friends texted me. He's like, hey, I see this 10-minute flag forming. At the time, it was just this big volume stick and these two candles over this 51 area pre-market high. So I was like, all right, you know what? Let's give it a shot. So I got long some at 52s there. And we get a pop into 53. So I peeled a little bit off into this pop into like the 53 area. And then, we come down all the way, test 48s. I was still in the position. My risk was off 48 flat. We did not break 48, so there was no reason for me to exit. And to be honest, at the time I wasn't really monitoring the position like a hawk. I was kind of just, I had it on a thumbnail and I was like, all right, look, either we're gonna hit my stop or we're gonna open up, and if it hits my stop, it hits my stop. It is what it is. I already made some money on it. Another chat room ends up mentioning it. We end up getting a parabolic pop into 57s. Start peeling some off. 53 again, 54, 54 again, 55, 56. Start pulling back into 53, peel some more off into 53, and then I believe it was somewhere around here I took my last piece off at 51 cents even. So a little bit of loss on that last piece, but it didn't really matter to me because I've already made money on it in 2 different trades. So I was pretty comfortable with it. Was willing to let that last piece ride. I didn't want to let it ride back to 48 because you never want to let a green trade go red, but I gave it a little bit of wiggle room, you could say. We ended up coming down, way more, and so I'm glad I cut where I did, and I didn't risk off this 48 because I would have had to take a loss over there. Next trade of the day for me was COSM. COSM was a really nice 1 minute flag setup over a pre-market high. Right over here we have this 15.6 area high. Nice high volume push over here coming into it. Low VPA pullback to form the nice 1 minute flag over this pivot. Now it isn't exactly over the pivot. This pivot's like 15.6. Our low of this candle is like 15.8, 15.79. I got long 16 cents even. I was fine with that. I was willing to risk whatever it was, half a penny or so, to figure out if I'm right on this trade. And we end up getting a pop into 17s. Started peeling off. I remember at the time it was like 16.8s when I was peeling off. It was like a parabolic pop. Started peeling off into here, right through the highs right here. Was getting filled 17 because it was 16.8. I'm sure TD rounded it up to 17, so it was getting filled 17. Then on this pullback into the 16 area, that's where I actually cut my last piece at 16 exactly. Right on that, on the 1 minute, I'm looking at, this candle right over here. End up cutting my last piece, kind of formed this downtrend here, and that's when we continued lower. At this time my focus was shift over to TBLT because that's where I noticed that flag, so kind of just dumped this and got out of it on this candle. It tried to push higher. That's when we formed this little downtrend and continue lower, so I think I played this pretty well. So those are the small cap trades for me on the day. And then some of the large cap trades. So I had Meta, and I had 108 puts, and it'll be easier if I just go over here. So I had the 108 puts, got filled on the 108 puts at $1.04. Right here on this trend break, kind of came up to retest it. I was long right on the trend break. Normally for the large caps, I've noticed that some of them don't really give you confirmation. They kind of break the trend and push down really fast. So I got long the puts on the trend break, was looking for the 113.44 area. We kind of consolidate here, kind of formed this W, kind of had a wick down. I was in some nice profits, but I didn't peel any off because at the time for me to peel some off here, it would not match my reward, or I'm sorry, it would not match my risk. So I had to wait for my reward to be hit in order for it to make sense to take profit. Because if I took profit there, then my risk versus reward would not be the way I wanted it, you could say. Kind of consolidate here, started putting in higher lows, and we kind of formed this W now that I see it, and we end up coming all the way up here. And I stopped out of this trade for a 15% loss, and it was supposed to be like 13%. I was trying to get out over here at the bid, and it wouldn't fill me, and I ended up getting out of the contracts at 79 cents. Was supposed to get out of them at 85 cents. Put out a bid for 80 cents. I wouldn't get filled, and then finally I got filled, but I got filled at 79 cents, so I had to take that extra 6-cent loss. Completely fine with me, no biggie, whatever. We're moving on to the next. And then same ticker, a couple minutes later, I had adjusted my trend line. I noticed that we were testing trend right here. And on this trend break, I got long the 108 calls at 74 cents. Kind of consolidate over here. And I'll go here to show you guys. Kind of consolidate here. And that's when, I was in the Goblin Gang. I had alerted this trade. And I'll just go to it really quickly. And at the time, I was looking for, I believe it was the 113.44 if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, so right over here, where is it? Short meta. I was gonna stop out here just because I took the previous L, but at the time when I said this, I seen Tommy came in short SPY. This guy C came in short Netflix. TBLT also short. So everyone was kind of getting short, so it kind of gave me a little bit of confidence. And like I kind of told myself here, like, all right, everyone's starting to get short. So if all the other good traders are starting to see that everything's a short, maybe I should sit in my position and let it work out. So that's what I did. I even put over here that my stop loss was above 115. So even over here, my stop loss wasn't hit. Stop loss was all the way up here, 115. So, I had that wiggle room, and we ended up coming into 113s. So really nice play. Covered full over here at 113.88. And that's when I was like, meta can push lower here. Target was VWAP 113.44. I had covered over here at 11:12 a.m., which was 113.80 area. You could see that we end up coming into 113.51, shy of, a little shy of my target, but overall my target was VWAP. Really nice short over here. Kind of recouped majority of the L from the previous play. Got a nice 11% on that one. And then towards the end of the day, I had posted this over here for SPY. And I'll go over here. Nice trend break here. I targeted the 395 calls. I kind of jumped the gun on this one. It was you can call it a gut trade if you'd like, but I got long over here because at the time my trend line looked like it was breaking. Stop loss above the highs. That's why I had this alert over there. And I'll go to the alert real quick. So yeah, right over here you could see, have this trend line, and before it was drawn to connect these, and at the time we were breaking it, EMAs were also flipping. That's what I wrote over here, watching SPY for the trend break. EMAs beginning to flip. That's when Tommy reminded me, 10-minute strategy, whatever. And a couple minutes later, I end up getting out of these all the way over here for a 62% gain. Had one runner, ended up closing that runner for, I believe it was a 102% gain. Didn't get the picture of it. Got in the contracts at 4 cents, sold some out 7, sold more out near 12, and that was this move all the way into here. Reason I got out so quick and I didn't hold the runners because I was kind of feeling that we would get a parabolic rise. You could see over here, big tank, parabolic rise, big tank, parabolic rise, big tank, parabolic rise that continued higher. So towards the end of the day, I didn't want to wipe away any of the gains I made, so I was like, let me cover here. It was like 102% total. I was way happy with that, very happy with it. So we end up coming down more. These 395s end up going in the money, and the contracts did 900% in my face. So they went from 0.4 cents all the way to 0.39 cents, which is $39, and it amounted to a total of, I believe it was 920%. It is what it is. I'm not mad that I missed it. It just gives me more confidence for the next play. Yeah, so with that being said, I did kind of jump the gun on it, but it worked out. I was willing to risk off of this. I had noticed, all this resistance up here in 400s, and I was like, let's see what happens. We also kind of had this area over here, which is this previous gap over here that was filled. So, I knew this was going to be some resistance, also support over here. And, ultimately, I'll be honest, coming into the morning, I was thinking we'd get the 400 break and push into, 408 to fill this gap. But as a trader, all you can do is react. You can't predict. And in this case, I think I reacted very, very well to our trend line break. I'll go back to that. So really nice, got to make some money on this really, really nice trend line break. And this is when it broke. I was on the road at the time, and I was like, all right, let's freaking go. And then, this happened, and I was like, let's go. So, yeah, with that being said, those are my trades for the day. I hope you guys found this helpful. And we'll catch everyone tomorrow for tomorrow's review. Take care.